They can't go, they can't go to relatives' houses without having the devices in their hands. What then happens is this. What's that game where they're jumping over trains and they're collecting coins and they're moving? What's that called? Subway or something? Subway Surf. Okay, somebody plays it. Subway Surf, a simple game, right? Now what's happening is there's a lot of stimuli going on in the brain, because every time that they manage to dodge a train, and they feel good about it, a chemical has been released in the brain. Okay, there's a lot going on. The ducking, the jumping, they're getting the train, they're moving up, and they're now getting loads of coins till they jump on the next train. Then they're getting the hoverboard and they're moving. Yeah, loads of coins, and they can see the coins going up. But I'm going to go to the shop or something and buy something for myself. I'm going to get extra points and coins and ding, 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 ding. There's a lot of stimuli going on. Colors are moving, pixels are changing. Okay, the brain's engaged in a huge. This is a very simple game. I'm not even talking about Fortnite or other games. I'm talking about a simple game, okay? Now, they die, okay? Now, they start again. When they start again, come on, let's build each time they get a new score, a new high score. Oh my God, there's massive doses of serotonin, of, different chemicals released in the head. And then this is the problem. Look, they switch the thing off. You've taken your phone away. Then they're like this, look. Nothing's moving. It's boring here. I hate this place. Now the world is boring. Now, you know what? There's energy inside. You know what they do? They fight each other. They're jumping off things now. The other thing I really have to say to you is that, sweets and color, these colors that you have, different colors in sweets. Please look, children don't need any sweets at all. They'll taste a few now and again. They don't need any sweets. Seriously, just give them fruits. Just say fruits or sweets, finished. You can keep children away from sweets for years. You'll have calm children. You'll have children that are a lot more intelligent. What happens is when you have those sweets, it makes them, bustling and they want to jump off walls and so on. You got that one problem. And in the long term, what you're doing is you're getting them addicted to a lot of sugar, and they will need that sugar to keep them, motivated. Otherwise, again, that boredom and that stillness hits them. Anyway, so one thing is these devices and games don't need to be given to them at all. If you're going to give it to them, please limit the time, and they do not need these things at a very young age. What they will watch on the screens, the TVs, the things they will see will directly affect them. If you want to see the effects of it, I'll give you a quick thing. Look, show them Tom and Jerry for a few maybe half an hour, and then watch them when you switch it off. They will become Tom and Jerry. One will, go for another one. One might hit another one, whatever, or they might be bouncing off this, bouncing off that. You've got a problem. Why? Because children like to imitate. Now, the madrasa thing that I said, or the maktab thing, what's a good age to send them? Look, 5, 6 is fine. Don't get too excited. 5, 6, year 1, even if it's 7 years old, it's fine. That's a completely acceptable time to formally learn something. Before that, they should learn Islam by just watching you. You are the teachers in the house. A lot of parents think, oh, he hasn't had an Islamic teacher. What's he going to do? No, you are the Islamic teacher. You've been the Islamic teacher for the last 7 years. What have you been doing, for God's sake? Right? If you've been wearing hijab, that's Islam. If you wore the hat and the whatever Islamic clothing it is, that's Islam. If you had good akhlaq, that's Islam. If you showed forgiveness, that's Islam. Now, another thing is that children will start, naturally they'll fight one another in the house and so on, right? Sometimes siblings do this. And parents get frustrated. They think, why are they fighting? Why? I want this to stop. Look, it's natural. It's going to happen. It happens in birds' nests. The one little chick will peck another chick, and they won't peck him. And you look at tigers when they're growing up, they'll play fight, and sometimes they'll have a proper fight. It happens, it's part of growing up. Nothing bad about it, just manage it. And what you want to manage is you want to show adl. Now the very good thing here is you've got a very good opportunity to teach them how to manage their anger, how to suppress it, how to deal with it, how to deal with emotions, how to forgive, how to forget, how to get on again. Subhanallah, massive lesson as you as parents. You can do that. So what happens is one hits another one, or one quarrels with another one. you call both of them. You don't do the typical, if I put it down, the Bengali thing to do. Who hit you? I'm going to go and smack him one. If you teach that someone smacked you and they've got to get smacked back, well, that's justice to them. Smack for smack. If you teach them that, now a lot of the times what happens is the kid's crying and then you feel sorry for the kid. Oh my God, wait till I get hold of the other one. Wait till I get hold of the other one. That could be crocodile tears that you're dealing with. Kids are really good at giving you crocodile tears. It's fake tears. Like we have fake news out there, these are fake tears, okay? Now, what you want to do is call them over a simple solution, okay? Let one speak and the other one has to stay quiet while this one speaks. That's another training in itself, not to disturb somebody else when their case is being heard. Then let this one be quiet, then make the other one speak, and the other person has to be quiet now while you hear this second person, and he has to stay quiet. And when they're both finished, then you say sorry to him, you say sorry to him, good, now walk off. You've heard them, they've expressed their anger, their frustration. If you don't listen to them, and if you just say sorry to one another, just say sorry to one another, you know what? It gets worse. Kids want to be heard. They want to express their feelings. It's a natural human feeling to actually express your frustration and to be heard and to feel that justice has been done. Anyway, as parents, okay, when you're arguing with one another, kids are listening to you. If you swear, they've picked it up. If you start to throw things, they've picked it up. If you break things in the house, they've picked it up. And as the children grow up, you'll see their behavior modeling your behavior. The one thing that you're going to need to understand is, look, this is a very important part I'm going to say to you next. So try this and you'll see results. I've had people tell me already results after they heard me say this. I think less than a year ago, I said this in London. The brother was there at a bayan over there. Then I did another bayan recently near Bradford in Keighley. And the brother there said to me, he said he tried what I said and he's seen instant results. Instant results. And this might take you by surprise when I say this to you. But if you give less love to your kids, we all know it's not a good thing to do. But the surprising thing is, if you give too much love to your children, you will spoil them as much as not giving enough love to them. Allah has given us in the Quran a word called al-mizan. وَوَضَعَ al-mizan. When Allah said, Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan, Allamahu al-Bayan, Allah said, I created the human being, I created the Quran. He straight away said after that, وَوَضَعَ al-Mizan, I gave a balance, I gave a scales, okay, I gave a set of scales. Allah tatghaw fil mizan, don't break, don't violate the scales, meaning that keep everything balanced. Humans are being created. We love not too much heat, not too much cold. You give a balance, we're fine. Don't get too angry, don't get too angry, and don't get too sort of soft. If you're too soft, people will swallow you. If you're too, harsh with people, people will just spit you out. So stay balanced. Don't be extravagant and waste all your money. Don't be miserly and stingy and not give anything. Be balanced. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا. Don't do, in everything we've got a balance. In every part of our lives we've got a balance. So with love, there's a balance. Don't give too less love. Don't give too much love. Whether it's spouses, whether it's children, don't do that. You will suffer if you do that. One of the things that modern psychology has actually tested and proved is, if after the necessary things that your children need, like they need their food, clothing, shelter, education, and so on and so forth, okay? After their necessities, the extra things they want in life, if 8 out of 10 times you say yes to their demands, 2 out of 10 times you say no to their demands, then your children will grow up to be unappreciative of what you did and who you are in their life and of life in general. They will be impatient, okay? They'll be impatient. And they will not be happy in life. But with the extra things that the children need in life, if 8 out of 10 times you say no to them and 2 out of 10 times you say yes to them, So they're saying, Dad, I want that game. You say, no, you can't have it. I want that other thing. No, you can't. I want ice cream. No, you can't have it. I want to do this. You can't do it. And then they say one thing, I want that. Okay, you can have it. So 2 out of 10 times you're saying yes to them. 8 out of 10 times you're saying no to them. Those children will grow up happy, cheerful, appreciative of life, and they will have a huge amount of patience in their lives. Why? Because when you gave to them whatever they wanted again and again, that became a normal life. It was expected. It's like, well, I'm going to get that anyway. Well, that's what life is about. You know what I'm saying? It can't get any better. And when that child gets to 16, 18 years old and they start to hit an independent life, now they're not getting their, yeses. They're getting a few more no's than yeses. When they hit 20, 21, they're now starting to pay a few bills. Now they will hate life. They will have, a lack of sabr. Why? Because when you gave everything just like that, you taught them that life's easy. Life wasn't difficult at all. And the real life is difficult. It's got a lot of pressures. If you say no to them most of the time, you taught them that, you don't get in life. You don't get things in life. When they do get it, they appreciate it. But if they get loads of things in life, 8 out of 10 times they're getting things in life, then the 2 times they don't get it, they're moaning about it. Why didn't I get it? Why didn't I get it? Why didn't I get it? They're spoiled. If you allow those children to grow up, to become adults, they're going to give people a hard time. A hard time. And I want you to understand that a lot of us, with our children, we're spoiling them like this. Children need to be told there are borders and barriers all the time. Children will test you with your borders and barriers all the time. One of the most significant things that happens with children in the British culture is at around the age of 10, you will see the back chat coming. At the age of 10, around there, back chat starts. Which means you're saying, why did you do that? Why can't I do that? Oh, you're not supposed to. Well, I want to do that. Talking back to you while you're talking to them, that starts. Now, you've got to nip it in the bud. And there are ways to do it that are totally fine, and everyone's going to be fine with it. There are ways to do it. You don't need to hit. You don't need to shout. Look, you never need to shout or hit if you just follow the next steps I'm going to say to you. All you do is you need to allow them to understand. Look, whenever you talk to kids, don't just tell them do this, don't do this, do's and don'ts. No, they don't just like that. They need to know why. Explain to them why. If you're going to say to them, don't give me back chat, explain why. Explain that they have to respect you, and explain why they have to respect you. Because if there was no respect, then there would be no looking after them. There'll be a wild situation in the house. And there will be a lot of quarreling and a lot of fighting in the house when people don't listen to each other. There needs to be a system. There needs to be conformity. So explain the reason why, and also tell them that backchatting is not acceptable. If you want to just time out, look, just tell them to stand by the wall, look at the wall, just look at the wall. 3-4 minutes. Tell them to stand there, just look at the wall, that's nothing. You're not touching them, you're not hitting them, you're not saying anything rude to them. Just face that wall, look at the wall, come back here. If you see they're still like, go back again. Bismillah, acha bacha. You'll see, give them max 6-7 minutes. They'll calm down, call them back. Don't do that again. Sorry, whatever. But then really important is this. Whenever you've told children off, the crucial thing is to show love to them back immediately. Don't hold the grudge with the child. If a child, look, I'll do a quick test with you, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me, okay? Did you have certain people in your life that when they told you off, you knew inside you that this person cares for me? Yes or no? Put your hands up. Whoever that, put your hands up. Okay, good. That's almost all of you. Now tell me, did you have certain people in your life that told you off and it was in your heart, this person hates me, he doesn't like me? Put your hands up. How much? Put your hands up, yara. Put your hands up, yara. That's a lot of you, right? You know what it is? you have a natural instinct in you knowing that this person's, how often they're telling you off, how many times, and whether they're always trying to catch you out, whether they're making a mountain out of a molehill when you do something wrong and your sister does something and they get away with it. They get away with it. All of these things are observed in the head of the child. And what they do is they paint a picture inside them that this person loves me even though they tell me off, and this person hates me when they're telling me off. What the Quran says is, even when your spouse has gone beyond the limits, فَإِنْ أَطَعْنَكُمْ فَلَا تَبْغُوا إِلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا. When they start to obey you once again, then don't start to go back in the past and taunt them for the past that they had. Okay, just treat every new incident as it is. Don't try and say, oh yeah, you did this at that, oh you did that, oh you've been very naughty that time, and string them up, and they'll feel that, you know what, they're being victimized. Now, salah is a very important thing for people to get done. And some parents get very, very excited, a bit too excited about this. Hijab is another thing that, you know, mothers get, you know, very worried about. Now, all you need to do is gradually put it in. Now, let me give you an example. If you do this, if the hijab, because we know hijab is not fard, it's not fard till they reach like the age of 10 or 11. Okay, let's first understand that. So when you've got a young girl, and if the young girl is really hot and running around in a wedding hall with a hijab on her head, and she's been running around the different tables, because that's what children do, okay? They're running up and down, up and down, up and down. There's a hijab on her head, and she's taking it off, and you keep putting it back on, and she's boiling inside, and she's only 5 years old, and she doesn't understand why. And you want to really just get that in there. Look, I'm telling you that the girl will listen to you, but a few years of that, by the time they're 10 or 11, they might not have the same attitude or the likening they should have to that hijab as they would have had if you had done this. That at the age of 5, you're taking them out, fine, you put a hijab on their head, and then they're running around, they're getting hot, you allow it to come off their heads. It's not fard yet, guys, okay? If certain times they want to take it off, certain times they put it on, what you do is every time they put it on, you praise them. That's what kids like. If you really want the kids to do it, you say, MashaAllah, you're beautiful anyway, but you're super beautiful when you wear the hijab. You're extra beautiful when you wear the hijab. Whatever you will say to them, it will stick with them. One day, auntie came and put some nail polish on, and people said she's beautiful. Well, beautiful means nail polish. But if you say that the hijab was beautiful, then the hijab is going to be the thing they will want to wear. Now, by the time they get to the age of 10, if they've worn the hijab now and again, and sometimes taking it off, sometimes putting it on, whatever, at their own leisure, what you want to do is before that, before 10, let's say at the age of 7 or 8 or 9, you want to tell them, look, when you get to this age, you will wear it and you will become, a person who's very dear in the sight of Allah. Okay, you want to give them good reminders beforehand, years before they start, give them the reminders. And when they actually get to that age, you will find that they will happily wear the hijab. They will actually love wearing the hijab. With salah, it's simple. At the age of 7, before 7, whatever salahs they join you in your prayers, alhamdulillah, fabiha, it's good. If they join you, they join you. If they don't join you, they don't join you. Don't make it a big case in the house. You didn't pray salah. You're 5 years old now. You're 6 years old now. Why didn't? Oh, come on, for God's sake. Even the angels are not writing, okay? So take it easy, man. It's like you become better than the angels. When they're 7, tell them 1 salah a day is fard. So let's just say you pick Maghrib, if it's in the winter time. You say Maghrib is fard. And you will stand with me in the prayer, whether it's the mother or the father in the house. When they pray, they must pray that. That's it. The other salahs, if you want to pray, you pray. When they're 8, make it 2 salahs. When they're near 9, make it 3. When they're 9 somewhere, make it 4. By the time they're 10, make it 5. Okay, make it 5. If you do gradually like that, it's not a burden. It's not a burden at all. And you need to give fadila again and again, the benefits again and again. You need to make sure, alhamdulillah, your kids are coming to a maktab like this. If the maktab system where you send your children has got a very strong system of giving them a good Islamic identity, that plus your home environment is going to make leaps and bounds. And don't just send your kids to any old place. If you want to send your kids to a place, what you do is you talk to the parents who have already sent their children to a certain place. Okay, how have they found the experience of their children who went to this maktab for this many years? That's what you want to look at. And don't start playing around with fees. Okay, £2 here, £3 there. Oh my God, I can't send it to that other place that is £10. I'm going to sit with the £3 one when your Sky box is costing you £65. Seriously, that's the argument. This is the argument. Send them with the best to the best place you can find and let them get the best tarbiyah and the best thing there, but you've got your own responsibility. So for example, one of the ways to easily get du'as in them is every du'a, read it loudly. The dua coming out the house, read it loudly. The dua coming back in the house with the children, read it loudly. The dua in the car, read it loudly. The dua when having breakfast, milk in the morning, read it loudly. When you're having dinner, whatever it is, read loudly. Ayatul Kursi before going to bed or something, just read it loudly. They'll pick all of this up. You read your quls to them before they go to bed. They'll pick it all up. They hear it again and again. They'll pick it all up. If they, the dua for going to sleep, the dua for going to the toilet, the dua for coming out of the toilet, all these things, say it loudly at the occasion, get your children to say it loudly, they will just pick it up. No problem. Because it's in the system. It's like the whole family does it loudly, but just do it loudly. It's in the system. There's no qualms about it, but you as a parent have to be ready to know those du'as, right? You've got to learn those du'as. You've got to make sure that you're up to date with your own, own practice. Okay, one of the beautiful things children can love, and I'll tell you, they really love this, is you reading Quran in the house or you doing dhikr in the house. The children love it. Don't let them do anything else at that time. They can sit near you, they can go away from you, but you just do your dhikr or do your Quran, and at that time you'll see kids will actually come and they'll curl up to you. They'll curl up to you. And it's a very beautiful thing for them to see. If on the other hand, and this is becoming a massive problem now, is that you've got a whole amount of parents who are on their phones more than their Quran, dhikr, tilawa, salah, more than that they're on the phones. And they're on the phones at family time. The kids have come back from school, okay? They might be doing homework for a little while. They come to mom and dad are on the phones. Sometimes it's dinner time. Mom, I want to eat. Hey, I'm getting ready. I want to eat. I'm getting ready. Sometimes at the dinner table, they have got no eye contact. Sometimes it's like the kid's waiting on the toilet seat. His whole bottom's gone dry. It's stuck on there. He's going to need something to take it off. Say, mama, I'm coming. Again and again, I'm coming. He's like he's got pins and needles in his thighs, and he's rocking on the toilet seat, wondering whether he should run outside, with all the thing, whatever. So she comes like after so many minutes. Why? Because she's busy on her phone. He's busy on his phone. He's sitting on the sofa seat. The kids are coming next to the father. They can't even get eye contact. You know what it is? They're present there, but they're absent. It's like the father's not even there. The mother's not even there. Do you know that 10 days ago, it was in the papers, I think it was in The Guardian, a whole group of youngsters, children, came out with their parents. Both those children and parents, they protested on the streets against the culture in Germany, which is not just a culture in Germany, it's widespread across the world. They protested against those parents who are using their mobiles excessively when children are around. Now, can you imagine what the situation is going to be when these children actually grow up? Because I tell you one other part that really saddens me. When I was young, I remember this very clearly. At the end of the day, when my mother was done with all the things, okay, and there was a grandmother type of person that lived with us, and there was also my father. My mother's cooking, my father would do his tilawa in the living room, but that we would see all the time, okay. Then what we would see is that when my mother's done, she's finished, she's put everything away, my grandmother type of person, I'm saying grandmother like, lawyer, daddy, not real daddy, yeah? So she used to have this wazifa, and she used to just read that wazifa at the end. And my mother used to have a tasbih in her hand. I remember it was one of those white glowing type of tasbihs. She used to love that tasbih, okay. She used to read her tasbihat before she would be going to bed. And in the morning when I would wake up, I would remember hearing my father on the musalla either doing dhikr, or he's doing his tahajjud, or he's reciting something, or making a dua. And specifically he used to make dua with all our names, with the children's names, one by one. And that was my early memories. And as I'm growing up, I see my mum with either Quran or wazifa end of the day, or see my dad at the beginning of the day and throughout the day doing that. And these are memories that I have. If you notice the new generation, their memories are they're going to bed and mum and dad are in front of the TV. That's the last thing they see. If they come early in the morning, the mom and dad have grabbed the phone from by their bedside and going like the Dajjal. That's their memories. So morning gadget, evening gadget. You know what happens to the child? These are important things to them. These are very important things to them. If they don't have an environment where they're seeing that Allah is important in life, then it means that, the amount of Allah you have in your life, that's the amount they see important. Especially when there is a problem, what do? Do you get on the musalla? Do you go quiet? Do sabr? Do you show a lack of patience? Do you snap out in the house? All of these things are going to have an effect on the children. Now, when they're getting to a certain age, whether it's 8, 9, 10, 11, one thing I have to say to all you guys, can I have a quick show of hands? How many of you have given your children or your nephews or nieces or whoever they are, you've given them a smartphone? Put your hands up. Or they've got a smartphone. Put your hands up. Come on, just put your hands up. Come on, it's nothing. Come on, less people. All them both sharif hai yaar. Put your hands up, yaar. If you've got a nephew, niece or a child in the house who's got a smartphone, all right? It's good. More hands are going up. People are, it's good. Now put your hand up if you have a shared passcode with that child. Right, those are about good 8, 10 hands went up first. Now there's only 2 hands. If you give a child a smartphone, then you have given, and especially if it's got the internet, which is going to have, even if it's restricted, there are ways of getting around it. There are ways of going through Google and going through other things and ending up whichever zone you want to end up. Okay, and kids are smart. They know how to use that phone better than you and me. Okay? And don't think they don't, because when we were young, we knew how to use the gadgets better than our mums and dads. Okay? So what happens is you haven't got the smart code, or you're not sharing the passcode with them, the passcode. What then happens is they are able to surf the net or use the phone any way they want without you even having access to their lives. Very soon they can get into cyberbullying, they can speak to who they want, they can speak to a non-mahram, they can make a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, they can end up, chatting online without you knowing. They could be watching YouTube videos, one after the other, one recommendation goes to another recommendation, then they're watching things that they shouldn't even be watching. Haram things they're listening to, haram things they're watching, all behind your back, in their bed. While you turn the lights off, they're already on their smartphone, they're on their tablet, they've jumped out of bed, they're back on their computer screen, they're playing things without you having the knowledge of it. What then happens is there's a gap of 3-4 years. 3-4 years, the children go quiet, they don't speak to you. When you come home, you say, how is the school? Fine. Then they go to the bedroom, you don't know what they're doing in the bedroom, they've been there for a couple of hours. Listen, if you don't check on them, A, and B, if you don't have access to the tablets or the phones, whatever, you've given the most dangerous tool that could destroy not only the dunya, it could destroy the akhirah as well in the hands. That's what you've given to them. To protect the iman, you need to share the passcode. If you haven't done that already, guys, please do it. And I don't understand why a young kid has to have a smartphone. I don't understand. My child is 14 right now. All his classmates have got a smartphone. My child doesn't have a smartphone. And along the way, he's always asked for a smartphone. He's got this cheap phone, which alhamdulillah is good. Cheap is good, yaar. Cheap is good, yaar. Save money, yaar. If he loses, yaar, it doesn't matter, yaar. Buy another one, yaar. So what happens is he's got this phone just to make a phone call from school. That's enough. The purpose of a phone for you was to make a phone call and text messages, and we'll top you up £10 a month. And even then, he doesn't even use the full £10. That's fine. That's all he can do with his phone. All his mates have got smartphones. We explain to him, look, if you explain to kids nicely, they understand. We explain the dangers of why he shouldn't have a smartphone. We've already told him when you're 16, you're going to get a smartphone. But when he's 16, I'm going to share the passcode with him. And I'm going to make sure that he navigates himself in the right direction. You know, I'm not going to just tell him that here's a smartphone and go and download as many apps as you want. Do qada of the last 16 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to give him a license. He has to slowly get in that world and his priorities have to be right. If you do it like that, alhamdulillah, your children are your children. Subhanallah, your children. If you give them leeway, if you have no barriers, if you have no borders, if you cannot say no to them, especially when they're playing these games, you know, these console games, Xbox One, PS4, iPads and the other tablets and whatnot, okay, especially when they play, you have no control over how many hours they're playing, you have no control over what things they're watching on TV, they switch it on when they like, they switch it off when they like. If that's the case, then you've lost them. I will tell you right now what's going to happen to them in 8 years' time. They're only 8 or 9 or 10 and they're doing this in your house right now. I will tell you how they're going to be at 16. And you tell me if I'm wrong or not. At 15, 16, forget 15, 16, they'll start with you at 12 and 13. They won't be listening to you. They'll be disobeying you. They'll raise the voice above your voice. They'll throw tantrums, they'll have humps, they'll slam the door, they'll say rude things to you. They will not do their homework unless you give in to their demands. The more years you have no boundaries, no timetable set, no limited time playing on these devices, you're not in control. As they grow older, they're going to give you more and more trouble. It will start with the little things first, like give me extra time here, give me this, allow me that. Soon, you'll have them playing from morning till evening and they will be addicted to some of these things. Or they will run your lives. You're now the children, they're the parents. They tell you something, you better listen to them. Otherwise, they will just not listen. They'll muck up their tests. They won't do well in school. They won't do their homework. They'll do their homework, but it'll be rubbish and they won't care. They'll shrug their shoulders in front of you. And all that came because you didn't set the boundaries and keep the boundaries where you want to keep them, not where they want to shove the boundaries. And I'm giving you a big principle here, especially with children who are going towards teenage life and especially and kids who are in teenage life. Don't start their tarbiyah at teenage life. If you start at 13 and 14 disciplining them, you're too late. You're too late. It's very difficult for you to discipline them right now. Discipline starts from a very young age. The earlier you start, the better it is. You keep a barrier, you keep a border. Don't give them too much love, don't give them less love. Just give them what moderate love is. When they cross the boundaries, bring them back each time. Children will cross the boundaries again and again and again and again. And again and again and again and again. And it's your job to bring them each time. They're like sheep. Right? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam even gave that example. He said, "Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyyati." He said, all of you are shepherds and Allah is giving you a flock to look after. And with children, it cannot be expressed any better that children are like sheep, which is a shepherd that has got sheep. Every time they go near the fence, he has to bring them back, because once they go near the fence, they put their head in between the fence and they start eating from the grass of the other field. And they will love doing that because the grass is longer on the other side, it's more tasty on the other side, they'll do it. So the shepherd has to have a lot of sabr in each time, bringing them back to his pasture, to his side of the fence and letting them graze over there. Children will carry on doing that. And no matter how many times you tell them, they will still do it until they get to a certain age. With hikmah, with hilm, with forbearance, with tolerance, with wisdom, you have to bring them in line. Now, the moments they start to, have their laughs and their, sometimes they're jolly and they're happy and they're not listening to you. Those moments you just have to sometimes, not just make a big scene out of it, okay? So for example, you're telling them to get together for salah and they're still giggling or whatever. It happens, okay? Now, try and stop them, but don't go crazy, on them. Try and pray salah with jama'ah in the house if you're staying in the house. If you're going to the masjid, take your children with you. Or at least make sure your children are praying in jama'ah in the house. The tasbih that you're doing after salah, sit down, do it together. Do the dua together. Okay, salah time comes, everything has to stop. That should be the rule for everyone. When it's time for the families to sit down and do something together, you do it together. And when you go for outdoor trips, all the things you can do, physically, any games, any board games, things that you can play, please carry on. Like play Scrabble, play, other games, whatever it might be. Some of you might be of a fiqh that certain games are not halal and some because of the dice. Some of you might be okay with it, but if you're okay with it, just carry on playing with them. Let them build their education, their intelligence with some of these games, instead of playing the computer games and other games. But even the computer games, when you give it limited time if you're going to give it. Now, the priority in the house has to be ita'ah. A lot of people think the priority is the outwardly ibadah. It's not outwardly ibadah. Outwardly ibadah or worship is a must. We know that. But let not that be the last thing. We want ita'ah to be the aim and the goal, which is Allah's obedience is more important than whatever else they're doing. So if it's ibadah, they know that they might get away with it. They might do whatever salah they want, and they might sort of shorten the salah here and there. That's ibadah. But if it's ita'ah, it means I've got to obey Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's a different concept altogether. Allah is my focus. So, for example, the other day, my son was upset with his mother. Okay, now I had to deal with the situation. So, he was in his bed. He was sort of on the bed and saying he's having a bad day, whatever. He's crying and so on. And it was Salatul Asr time. So I said, come on, let's pray Salatul Asr. He said, no, I don't want to pray right now. I said, listen, the problem you have with your mother is a problem that you have with your mother, but the salah is for your akhirah. That you have to do, my son, because you're going to go to the akhirah on your own. So come and pray with us. So he came and he prayed with us. Even though he's still crying in his salah, he still prayed. Now what I taught him there is that ita'ah is very important, that we're doing this for Allah's sake. I'm doing it for my sake, my future, and responsibility needs to be given to them. Every time they fall out of line or something, you want to always bring them back with the concept of akhirah, with Allah, with their future. And kids, sometimes they'll say to you that, are you going to die one day? And you know what the honest answer is? Yes. I am going to die one day, but it's not a bad day. So are you going to die one day? And so my dad died one day. But when I die, if I'm good, I'll be with my father. I'll be with my grandfather in Illiyin. And when you die, you'll join me in Illiyin. There's nothing big about that. What's crazy about dying? We're all going to die. So, but the important thing is to teach them that when you die, according to your actions on this world, you'll either end up in Illiyin or Sijjin. So if you want to be with a family and good people, be in Illiyin. So do your salah, do your whatever else it is. Now, as they're growing up, they will bring you challenge after challenge. So one of the things I think one of the parents asked as a thing to be reminded of is sometimes they come with you with challenging questions. And these challenging questions are like something that you can't even answer. Go to a local scholar, go to a local imam, ask them to answer the question. If they don't know, go to another imam or ask those imams to refer to other imams. Get the answers that they need and give it to them. My own children have come home from RE lessons from school and they've asked all sorts of questions. Like, how do we know that God is true? How do we know this religion is true? How do we know? And you've got to give them the answer. Now, the session right now, it's not enough for me to go into all these questions, but simply it's not good to just keep children asking these questions without giving them an answer. So let them bring it out. If they bring it out, you've got a chance to deal with it. And if they do something wrong, let them do it while you can watch them and do the tarbiyah. It is better they make a mistake in front of you and you can correct it than for them to not make that mistake in front of you and later on in life make it where you are not there to rectify the mistake. Let them make it. My wife sometimes says, oh, he made this mistake. I said, let them make the mistake. We're still here. We're in front of them. We're seeing the mistake. Once they make it, we talk to them about the mistake. We'll explain things to them. You don't do things like this, okay? Now, throughout the house, If you want to get your children to pick up plates, you want them to iron, you want them to put their clothes in the washing machine, you want them to hoover up, you want them to clean, you want them to make their bed, you want them to even make their breakfast, you want them to do the, make something in a frying pan, you want them to get their own toast, you want them to get their own milk and all the things out and then to put it all away and to wash it as well. Every single process is easy when you just discipline them and tell them it's part of the system in the house. And why shouldn't children do all of that? Why have you got 3 children all growing up and you're doing everything, your wife's doing everything. You're cleaning all the dishes, you're doing all the cleaning, you're doing all the picking up, you're doing all the putting away, you're doing all the washing and so on. Why? And then you have these kids that, parents, what they do, and I'll finish off here because I think I'm going way over my time, right? But what they do is that they make life easy for these children. So easy for them. Beta, you're studying. Just go upstairs, just study. I will do everything for you. I'll wash everything up for you. I'll do it. You don't have to touch anything. Right? So they study all the GCSEs like that. Then better, you're in college right now. Oh my God, you got even a harder life. I'll do everything for you. So you do everything for them again for another 3 years. Then better, you're in university. Oh my God, I will cook for you. I'll bring the food to you. Whatever your doma is, I'll do all of that for you. I'll take your clothes from you. I'll wash them and bring them back for you. Ironed and everything as well. And the same better, when they graduate, they don't really recognize you. And there's parents that are saying, what happened? What went wrong? Well, again, what I said to you earlier, don't show too much love. Make them responsible at an early age. Let them take on their burdens themselves. And when you teach children to take on their own burdens, alhamdulillah, you know what? This is life. This is life. Life is about knowing how to go through its struggles and how to deal with it. And if you've taught your children that, alhamdulillah. Now, I'm going to ask, I know I've gone way over, but anyone got any questions related to what I said, that they want any further clarifications or something, please put your hand up straight off and yes?
You said about not to give them too much love, so you gave example of not buying them everything they want. Can you give any more examples just so we know where, because how do we balance not giving too much love between not giving them too much time? We need to give them time. Now, even if you give them time, time can be just sitting with them, right? Too much love, I'd say, another example of that is, let's say, for example, there should be rules and boundaries in everything. So should they have a cake before food when you know that it's going to spoil their appetite? It should be a no there. Should they have an ice cream immediately after the food? It should be a no there again. And sometimes you give the ice cream. See, this is where the boundary is. So if you say daily the ice cream is going to go down your stomach, then it's like, man, I'm getting life in Jannah on this earth. You know what I'm saying? You can't get better. But if you give them ice cream now and again, and a lot of the times you say no, that's good. If with pocket money, you're giving them enough that they are happy, but not too much that they get too complacent in life and feel that it's automatically coming to them as kind of some kind of internal domestic child benefit they're getting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it started at the age of 8, you know what I'm saying? And at the other end is not to, be too stingy and not give them anything at all. Too much love, let's say, for example, they're playing, they've played one thing with you and they want to play more with you, or they want more time or more attention from you when you've got other necessary things to do. And if you carry on giving them so much attention that it's affecting your own work or affecting other things you need to do, then that is going beyond the limits again. So anything really, just it needs to be balanced, not too less of it, not too much of it. Any other question? Yes.
Sheikh, at one time we could tell, our parents would tell us that this is wrong, this is haram, you can't do this. Now there are certain laws or regulations in place where you can't directly tell your children certain things.
You need to give an example. If you don't give an example, I won't. If you can't give an example,
I'm sure you know what I'm coming from.
It depends. So, are you talking about relationships?
Obviously there's quite a lot of things that we can't specifically mention in front of our children or to our children.
Well, the thing is, look, if you do with hikmah, you can do everything with hikmah, with wisdom, but it's how you say it and how you sort of... So, for example, on purpose,
politics has never been discussed with my 14-year-old child. I mean, sometimes he used to come home from secondary school and said, how come I don't know about this? How come I don't know about that? How come I don't know about this? Right? He didn't know anything. I mean, there's a lot of politics I could tell him what was going on in the world. But he was learning that stuff first time in secondary school. And I wanted it like that. Because imagine he already had an opinion in certain political things. Then it might become, knock, knock on my door. You know what I'm saying? Like, what have I been teaching at my house? So I thought, okay, you know what? You have a clean slate, go over there. He came home, he said, my friends know all about this. My friends know about that. How come I don't know about this? Well, son, you learn when you get to a certain age why we didn't tell you certain things, okay? Now, what else would there be? Like, give me an example. Like,
for example, like a child might go to school and say, my father said this is haram. I can't do that.
Okay, look, again, okay, so certain things are haram, certain things might be halal and so on. Again, you need to be careful how you put it to children, and you need to teach them how they should have tolerance of a thing. I think it's important that it goes hand in hand. So if the haram means that this is forbidden for everyone out there, and nobody should be doing it, and that's like intolerance, that could be, a problem of them merging or being part of the society. That's when it becomes problematic. But if it's a belief or something else, but you set the boundaries and they know in what context this is halal or haram or whatever, then they need to understand. For example, like maybe a very simple example, okay? Pork, okay? Let's take pork. Pork is something that even non-Muslims know that Muslims don't eat pork. How did we deal with pork? We said we don't eat pork. We also said we don't eat anything that has pork in it. Right? We also taught them anything with certain gelatines and other things, we don't eat it. But we also made it known to them that our neighbors eat pork, and that's fine for them. Right? These other people will buy pork, and that's them, that's fine for them, right? So that's a tolerant, it's a belief and an attitude they know they won't do in their lives, but they also know that they will tolerate all these other people eating it. That's fine. When it comes to a system where you're teaching them absolute harams and absolute no's, where they apply to everybody, that's when it can become problematic. Okay, and other things, like when it gets to a certain age, and at that age, in the right way, with hikmah and wisdom, you can explain it to them. But as long as they know when to say what at what place, you get me? Even I'll be honest with you, like things we did naturally when we were young, right? So we played cops and robbers. You guys remember? You're a bit too young here for that. Yeah? Cops and robbers, right? So the cops are the ones that have guns, and the robbers are the ones that are stealing. And so the coppers have to catch the robbers, all right? Or you played cowboys and red Indians. And now that might be racist at this stage. It might be racist, okay? Especially in America, it might be racist. But I'm not using racism as an example. These were innocent games we played when we were young. Now what we did is, when we were young, we used to go pyum, 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 yeah? Now a Muslim child going pyum, 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 I'm gonna die. Call, whatever. We've got to teach them that they can't do certain things, and just teach them other things that they can do, right? And you had a question, sorry.
I wanted to know your opinion. What should be the priority for a mother to teach the child and for a father to teach child? So there's two questions.
So what should priority of mother teaching child, father teaching child? Why should it be different?
No, I'm asking, is there because the mothers normally with the children more so in the house, and the duties within the Asian community are within the house, and the father is generally outside the house a lot of the time. So should there be a main focal point from the mother to teach them
Look, put it this way, right? That the mother, even though the mother might not give formal teaching in the house, her own attitude, her way of behavior with the children, all that is always a ta'aleem. It's always an education. Her love, her compassion, her, whatever she's doing with the children, that's an education within itself. Should there be a difference between a father and a mother giving it? It's naturally going to be slightly different anyway, because the father will, have his manly sort of side coming out when he tells the children to do something, and the woman will have her womanly side coming out, and that's how Allah's created us, that one's a little bit more hard than the other, one's a little more softy than the other, and they need both. But the mother will give a lot more within the first 7 years of the child's life, and the father will give a lot more within the next 7 years of the child's life. And in the life beyond 14, both of them will give. So the mother will naturally give a lot more bonding or whatever it is to the child in the first 7 years. The father needs to start stepping in a lot more, especially when the child is going towards the teenage life. And when they're in the teenage life, they need to be there present with them. The best way a father can be with the child in teenage life is to start slowly befriending them, as well as disciplining them. So it's like a friendship way of guiding them. There's a beautiful word in the Quran regarding our Allah. It does say in certain parts of the Quran, yakhafun, that they fear Allah. But in one verse of the Quran, and there's a few places of the Quran like this, it says, mushfiquna min rabbihim. Now, mushfiquna means that, mushfiquna is a very peculiar word, very particular word. It means to fear and it means to love at the same time. Right? Now, mushfiquna min rabb, what does it mean? It means that they fear the consequences, right? Or what consequences? They love Allah, but they fear losing that love they have with Allah. Do you understand? So parents need to have the same attitude with children. That children should have immense love for the parents, but they should fear losing that love from the parents. And if you've got that right, then you know what? The children will love you, and they'll also listen to you, and they'll also not want to cross the boundaries because you're such a nice person, right? And they don't want to see that other side from you, and they don't want to lose that, you know. And there's a kind of a mutual respect both ways, okay, that the father and the child has, okay. And you know, if you treat the children, if you treat them adultly like, they will start to become mature a lot more quicker. If you treat them more childly like, they'll become more immature. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he told Ismail alayhi salam that, you know, I've seen this dream and I'm gonna, you know, I want to do dhabah and so on, or sacrifice, what do you think? The Quran says, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعِي, when he was ready to work as an individual. They say in the tafsir, either it was 7 or it was 11, right? There's two qawls. So that was the age. And they also say that the way Ibrahim alayhi salam spoke to him and the way Ismail salam responded to him is exactly this respect we're talking about, which is, I'm talking to my son as an adult, and my son is replying to me as an adult, right? The answer that he gave. So if that kind of respect can be established in the house early on, then a lot of things are really easy. But a lot of people get it wrong because they've either been too harsh, they've been too lenient, one of the two, they broke the balance, and now they find it difficult to try and get the balance again. Any other questions? Yes?
Just on your point around getting asked challenging questions, I feel like one of the biggest challenges of our times is of ideologies. So you've got feminism, atheism, the many other isms out there. And in different environments, our children are being given principles and these kind of notions to shape the way they think. How can we as parents or prospective parents deal with this kind of challenge? And help
Look, in the past, many isms came, many isms went. Sometimes it became too much towards the right and sometimes too much towards the left. At the moment, we're going to the left. And yes, these ideologies are within them. What's really needed is a strong maktab system. I'm gonna put my foot down on this. If your children go to a good maktab where they're not just reading and learning a few things, they're actually learning the Islam properly, and they're connecting with teachers who explain to them the deep insights of their religion. And they find deep meaning and a deep sense of bond with their religion. With that, and the parents at home being practicing Muslims and people who are on the deen and so on, I cannot see these children going off the path unless the parents are too strict and those religious people are too strict, or the parents, don't even, they disregard whatever the rights might be, or other things, okay? So if you've given that right balance with a strong maktab and a good environment at home, all these isms shouldn't take a massive effect. If you've also given the language, like I said earlier, a second language, a kind of a back home kind of a language, which brings the culture in and embeds them into the culture, it's very difficult for them to become those types of people who fall out. Now, even then, they could find that university life or something throws them off. And I'm going to say this very clearly, guys, listen to me clearly, on this one. Your children need an education and they need a degree, yes, but not at the expense of your 18 years of teaching them Islam. Some children, by the time, or some, let's just say teenagers now, by the time they reach the age of 18 and 19, they will go to a university away from you. They'll go to a dorma, they'll stay away. 4 years they're going to stay away. You better know where they're staying. If they're in a dorma with, with people running around half naked on a Saturday night, people drinking alcohol, they're sharing a fridge with pork and God knows what else inside there, which is, again, you can have pork there. I'm not saying that it's wrong there to have the pork there, but I'm just saying when those things are all in there, then there's people around them that never do their salah. There's people around them that are into the dance in their clubs and they're kind of the free life, let's put it, right? Again, I'm not stigmatizing these people, whatever, but all I'm saying is that when they stay in that environment for 4 years, salah slowly goes out the window, hijab goes out the window, tilawah slowly stops, the du'as will slowly stop. There'll be, this concept that is, especially if they're now being taught philosophy, if they're being taught certain parts of psychology that will target their very belief system within them. And 4 years they remain in an academic institution where they're becoming more and more smart with the way they think. And they can put you on the spot and make you feel that you've never even educated yourself. Oh dear, what have you been doing all your life? And when they have got that kind of mindset after 4 years and they come back to you and then you see, you've lost them. And I'm telling you one thing, it's bad for these boys to go away for these 4 years and girls as well. Unless, of course, they've got a strong environment. If they've got deen there, they've got dawah going on there. Some people go away and they've got salah going on. They've prayed jama'ah. They've got a masjid or a musalla within their university. They're in it and so on. And sometimes it can go the other way, right? They become too holy when they come back. But you've got to be prepared and careful when you're sending them away for that many years, because a lot of damage, the brother, what he said about these isms and stuff, that's when the isms really get to them. So if they then come back and now they are, in front of you propagating, or even they're in front of you, they don't want to listen to you because they're affected by all these isms, you've got a serious problem. And your problem was that you allowed them, in the name of good education, you allowed them to do all of that. In fact, another big problem happens is that they come back after those 4 years of uni and they don't want to get married. They don't want to get married. They get a job and then you're trying to push them to get married and maybe they don't want to get married. Sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's their fault, right? Because they've got their minds on other things. They've probably enjoyed the sweetness of marriage without marriage in university, if you know what I'm trying to say, right? So it becomes a huge problem. So if you've done a lot of hard work, all your years, up to 18 years of their life, don't just let it go unless you're sure of exactly which environment you're sending them, because the environment will definitely have an impact on them. Okay, should I take a final question? Are we done right now?
Two from sisters.